My name is Muna, and I once believed that my mother was the kindest woman in the world. Mama used to call me her sunshine. When she said that, I would giggle and hide my face in her wrapper, which always smelled of soap and warm pepper soup. We didn't have much. Our house was built with red mud, and when it rained, the roof sang with drops that fell like music. But to me, that house was heaven. We had each other, Mama and I. That was enough. Every evening after I fetched water from the stream, Mama would sit outside with me under the big mango tree, and she would tell stories of how she met my father. Your father was stubborn, she always began, smiling. He followed me for 6 months before I even said hello. I would laugh every time. I never met my father. He died when I was just 2 years old, but Mama made him feel alive in her stories. Those evenings were my favorite. They were filled with laughter and dreams that had no shadows. Mama was strong. She woke up before sunrise every day to cook moi, akara, and pap for her customers at the market. I loved helping her. I would tie my wrapper like hers and pretend to be the assistant cook. Muna, pass me that spoon, she would say, pretending to be serious. Which one? I would tease. The one in your hand, you naughty girl. We would laugh until tears filled our eyes. Our neighbors often said, Obi Anuju, your daughter is your twin. Mama would nod proudly and say, God gave me my second self. Sometimes when business was slow, Mama would sing old Igbo songs as she cooked. Her voice carried through the morning air like a soft prayer. Even birds seemed to stop and listen. Those mornings made me believe that nothing bad could ever happen to us. But life, as I later learned, hides its darkest storms behind the brightest skies. Mama sold her food at Odenigbo market. It was noisy, crowded, and colorful. I used to sit beside her stall, fanning the hot pots of moi and shouting, Buy your hot moi, fresh akara, sweet pap. Traders nearby loved us because we never fought anyone. Old women said Mama had a peaceful heart. Sometimes a man with a long beard would stop by and say, Obi Anuju, your food tastes like heaven. Mama would smile shyly and say, Na God hand, sir. Everything seemed perfect, until the day Mama met the woman in a red scarf. She came one evening when the sun was going down. Her face was covered, her eyes sharp and knowing. She whispered something into Mama's ear. I saw Mama's smile fade. After that day, Mama stopped singing while cooking. She started locking her room at night. One night, as crickets sang and the moon stood high, Mama called me to sit beside her under the mango tree. Muna, promise me one thing, she said softly. I looked up. What is it, Mama? No matter what happens, don't ever open my room when I am not around. Do you hear me? I laughed, thinking it was a joke. Why, Mama? Do you hide treasure there? She didn't smile. Instead, she held my hand tightly. Her eyes looked worried, almost afraid. Just promise me, my sunshine. I promise, I said quietly. Then she hugged me so tightly I could hear her heart beating fast, like it was running from something. I didn't understand then. But that night marked the beginning of secrets between us. The first time I heard it, I thought it was wind. A soft humming voice came from Mama's room long after she went to sleep. First I thought she was praying. But prayers don't sound like crying mixed with laughter. The next night I heard it again. A whisper. Sound of something dragging. Mama! Called softly. The noise stopped. Then I heard footsteps. Low. Heavy. Coming toward my room. My heart raced. The door opened slightly. Mama stood there, smiling strangely. Why are you awake? She asked. I heard something. There's nothing, my sunshine. Go back to sleep. She walked back, but as she turned, I noticed something strange. Her feet were wet. And it hadn't rained that night. Mama began to change slowly. She stopped eating dinner with me. She would go to the stream at midnight, carrying a calabash covered with white cloth. When I asked her why, she said, I'm just fetching clean water, Muna. But who fetches water at midnight? She started wearing red beads on her ankles and wrists. Sometimes she muttered words I didn't understand, her eyes staring at something far away. One afternoon, a chicken in our compound suddenly died without reason. Mama buried it herself and warned me not to tell anyone. The next morning our neighbor, Mama Nkechi, fell sick and couldn't walk. That was when people in the village started whispering. They said Mama was seeing a dibia, a native doctor. But I refused to believe it. Not my mother. Not my sunshine. That night I had a terrible dream. I saw Mama standing in a river of blood, calling my name. Muna, come to me. Her eyes were white, her hands reaching out. I ran, but she followed, her voice echoing like thunder. When I woke up, my bed was wet with sweat, and the moonlight cut across my face like a blade. I ran to Mama's room, knocking hard. Mama! Mama! No answer. When I tried to open the door, it was locked. From inside I heard chanting. And the sound of something scratching against the floor. The next morning, Mama was her old self again. She cooked, she laughed, she told me to eat. But her laughter didn't reach her eyes anymore. When she hugged me, her hands were cold. Her eyes looked distant, like someone else was hiding behind them. I wanted to ask her what was wrong, but fear held my tongue. Later that day, she went to the market as usual. But when she came back, her wrapper was stained with something dark, something like blood. Are you hurt? Yes. She smiled too quickly. Just palm oil. But it didn't smell like palm oil. Smelled like something I never wanted to know. That night I couldn't sleep. The promise I made under the mango tree started to burn in my mind. And I began to wonder, what exactly was my mother hiding in that locked room? I was lying on my mat, half asleep, when I heard a knock on the door. It wasn't a gentle knock. It was slow, deep, and heavy, like someone was hitting wood with their heartbeat. Mama froze. She turned to me sharply. Go inside. Don't make a sound. Mama, who is it? Asked. Her eyes widened. I said go inside. I ran into my room and closed the door halfway. Through the small crack, I watched as Mama walked slowly toward the door. When she opened it, a tall man in a dark cloth stood there. His face was hidden, but his voice sounded like dry leaves scraping the ground. You called me, he said. Mama nodded once, her voice shaking. It's time. Yes, the man said. Tonight is the night. My skin turned cold. I didn't know what tonight meant, but something told me that after it, nothing would ever be the same again. I waited until the door closed, then tiptoed to peek through the crack again. The man followed Mama into her room, the same room she told me never to open. For a long time everything was silent. Then I saw light flicker under her door, red and bright like fire. Mama! I whispered, pressing my ear to the wall. I heard a low chant. Then I heard her voice, but it didn't sound like hers. It was deeper, stronger, and filled with anger. When I peeked through the keyhole, my heart almost stopped. Mama was kneeling in the middle of her room, surrounded by white chalk marks and candles. The tall man stood behind her, holding something that looked like a small pot filled with dark liquid. Mama's eyes had turned white. No pupils, no blink, just white. I gasped quietly. The man turned his head like he heard me. I jumped back and hid under my bed, my heart beating so loud I thought they could hear it. Then I heard Mama's voice again, softer this time, saying words I couldn't understand. And when the chanting stopped, a sharp scream filled the house. Not from pain, but from something that sounded like victory. The next morning, Mama acted like nothing happened. She cooked yam and eggs, smiled, and even told a joke. But when I looked into her eyes, I saw the same emptiness I saw last night. I wanted to ask her, who was that man? What were you doing? Why did you scream? But my lips refused to move. After breakfast, Mama went to the market. I watched her leave, carrying her basket like always. The moment she disappeared down the road, I knew what I had to do. I ran to her room. The door was locked, but I remembered the spare key she hid under the flower pot. My hands shook as I turned the key. The smell that came out was thick and heavy, a mix of blood, ashes, and something sweet like perfume. Candles stood half-melted in a circle. There were feathers on the floor, and a calabash filled with red liquid. And on Mama's bed lay a small book covered in black cloth. I reached for it. But before I could open it, I heard a voice behind me. Muna. Turned slowly. Mama was standing there, her eyes dark and cold. Mama, I stammered. I was just cleaning. She smiled, but it wasn't the kind of smile that comforted me. It was slow, sharp, and full of warning. I told you never to come here. I'm sorry, I whispered, stepping back. She moved closer. Did you touch anything? No, Mama. Her eyes scanned the room. Then softly, she said something I didn't understand. The spirits are watching. That night I couldn't eat. Mama sat outside under the moon for hours, whispering to the air. Then I heard a voice, not hers, answering from the backyard. It sounded like a man's voice, low and smooth. But no one was there. I peeked through the window and saw Mama talking to the shadow beside the banana tree. The shadow nodded. And then it slowly disappeared into the ground. By the third night I couldn't sleep. The air in our house felt strange, like the walls were breathing. At midnight, Mama lit candles in every corner. She told me not to move. Muna, whatever happens tonight, don't come out of your room, she said firmly. Mama, I'm scared. Don't be scared. I'm doing this for us. Then she closed my door and went into her room. I heard chanting again. This time it was louder. Then came a sound like dripping water. I peeked out and saw a trail of red blood, moving from her room to the sitting area. Something hit the wall. Then silence. Then a voice whispered my name. Not Mama's voice, but something that came from the air itself. Muna, open the door. I pressed my hands over my ears and cried quietly until morning. Dawn, I opened my door. Mama was sitting in the middle of the sitting room, her wrapper torn, her face wet with tears. The candles were burned out. The floor was stained with blood. Mama! I ran to her. Are you hurt? She looked up at me slowly. My child, she said softly. Forgive me. I didn't mean for you to hear. Hear what? The voices. The spirits. They want you now. Froze. What do you mean? She reached for me, her hands shaking. I was trying to protect you, Muna. They said if I gave them something pure, they'd give us peace. Said no. But now they're angry. Mama, you're scaring me. Then it happened. He screamed. A loud, painful cry that filled the whole house. Her body shook and her eyes rolled back. The wind blew the door open and I swear I saw something, a shadow, crawl across the floor and vanish into her chest. Then she went silent. When she opened her eyes again, they were not my mother's eyes. That evening, Mama sat quietly like nothing had happened. But her voice sounded different. Deeper, slower, colder. I noticed that she didn't blink much. When she cooked, she hummed a strange tune that made my stomach twist. When she left for the stream, I searched her room again. This time I found the small black book under her bed. On the cover was a drawing, a circle with eyes inside. Inside the book were words I didn't understand, written in red ink. Some pages had drawings of hands, eyes, and a child surrounded by fire. And then on the last page, I saw something that froze my blood. It was a sketch of a woman and a little girl standing under a mango tree. The woman's face looked like Mama. The little girl looked exactly like me. Under the picture were 3 words. One must die. I dropped the book and ran out of the room. When I got to the backyard, Mama was already standing there, staring at the sky. Mama, I cried. What is happening to you? Why are you doing this? She turned to me slowly. Her face looked tired, broken, but her eyes were clear for the first time in days. Muna, she said softly. I made a mistake. I went to the Dibia to help us. I wanted a better life for you. But I gave him my soul instead. My heart pounded. What do you mean? He promised to bless our hands. But now he wants something in return. I stepped back. What does he want? Her lips trembled. He wants you. Gasped. Mama, no. Before I could speak again, she fell to her knees and shouted. Run! Run, Muna. Don't come back home tonight. The wind roared. The candles blew out. I turned and ran into the dark, my feet bare, my heart breaking with every step. Behind me I heard her voice, screaming my name, crying and then fading into silence. That was the night I stopped being my mother's daughter and started being her enemy. The road was dark that night. The moon hid behind thick clouds, and my bare feet pounded the ground as I ran through the narrow path leading out of our village. Behind me, I could still hear Mama's voice calling, "Muna, come back." But it didn't sound like her anymore. It was mixed with something else, something cold and deep, like two voices fighting inside one throat. I wanted to go back. I wanted to hold her and say, "It's okay, Mama." But how could I? The woman behind that voice was no longer the mother who kissed my forehead at night. I ran until I reached Anubi Forest, the place every child was warned not to enter at night. But I had no choice. I hid behind a tree, breathing hard. The sound of footsteps followed, slow, sure, and heavy. "Muna," the voice whispered. "You can't hide from your blood." I shut my eyes, trembling. Even in the darkness, I could feel her presence, her scent, her warmth, her spirit. The mother I loved was chasing me. But the monster wearing her face wanted my soul. I woke up the next morning inside a small hut. An old woman with gray hair sat beside me, stirring herbs in a black pot. "Don't be afraid, child," she said softly. "You ran well last night." "Who are you?" I asked weakly. "My name is Mama Ejima," she said. "Your mother brought you to me when you were a baby. She knew this day would come." My eyes widened. She knew. Mama Ejima nodded slowly. "Your mother was chosen by the river spirit before you were born. She fought it for years. But when poverty came, she begged for help. The spirit helped, but demanded payment later. The debt was you." I felt my stomach twist. "She didn't want this life for you," the old woman continued. "But the spirit is jealous, hates love. It takes whatever love touches." Tears filled my eyes. "So my mother, she's fighting inside herself, Muna. One side loves you. The other side wants to destroy you." She handed me a small round mirror made of clay. "When the time comes, look into this mirror. You will see her true self. Only then will you know what to do." 3 days passed. I stayed with Mama Ejima, helping her fetch herbs and learning to stay quiet when spirits passed by at night. But I missed my mother deeply. I couldn't sleep without remembering her laugh, her warm hands, her songs. One night I asked Mama Ejima, "Can't I save her? Can't I bring her back?" The old woman sighed. "You can try. But saving someone who has danced with darkness means offering light. The question is, how much light are you willing to lose?" Her words confused me, but I kept them in my heart. The next morning, I woke up to see smoke rising from the direction of our village. I ran outside. Mama Ejima's face turned pale. "The spirits are angry. They've taken her." Without another word, I ran back home. When I reached our house, it was almost gone. The roof was black, the walls cracked. In the middle of the compound, Mama stood, her eyes glowing red, her hands raised toward the sky. "Mama!" I screamed. She turned slowly. For a moment I saw her, my real mother, behind those burning eyes. "Muna," she whispered. "You came back." Then her voice broke into two, one soft, one dark. I ran to her and hugged her tightly. "Mama, stop this. Please. We can start again." She trembled in my arms. "Muna, it's too late. I tried to protect you. I tried to fight it." I felt her tears drop onto my shoulder. They were hot like fire. "I made a deal I shouldn't have made. I wanted you to go to school. I wanted to give you a better life. But I gave up my soul in return." I held her tighter. "We can pray, Mama. We can ask God to forgive you." She shook her head slowly. "God turned his face away when I went to the river that night. The spirit owns me now." Her eyes turned white again. Her body stiffened. The wind began to spin around us, lifting dust and leaves. "Mama, please," cried. "You're stronger than this. But the other voice spoke through her, deep and hateful. You can't free her, little one. She belongs to us. I fell to my knees, shaking. Then I remembered the mirror. I pulled the clay mirror from my wrapper. The spirit laughed through Mama's mouth. A mirror? What can that do? But Mama Ejima's words echoed in my mind. When the time comes, look into it. I raised it slowly. The reflection showed not just Mama, but two faces inside her. One was crying. The other was smiling cruelly. Let her go, shouted. Let my mother go. The mirror began to glow. The spirit screamed. Mama fell to the ground, shaking violently. The red light around her turned white, then golden. Her body arched as if she was being torn in two. Muna, she gasped. Don't look away. I kept holding the mirror even as tears blinded me. Finally, there was a loud crack like thunder. The wind stopped. Mama lay still. I ran to her, touching her face. Her eyes were closed. Her breathing soft. Mama! She opened her eyes slowly. For the first time in weeks, they were brown again, gentle and kind. You did it, she whispered weakly. You brought me back. I smiled through my tears. We can start over, Mama. But she shook her head. No, my sunshine. Every light that fights darkness must give something in return. What do you mean? She smiled faintly. My time is over. Then she touched my cheek, whispered a prayer, and closed her eyes forever. I buried Mama under the mango tree, the same place where we used to laugh and tell stories. I wrapped her in her favorite wrapper and placed a bowl of moi moi beside her, just how she liked it. The village came to watch. No one spoke badly of her. They only whispered that she had fought something bigger than herself, and lost. As I stood there, I realized that the mother who became my enemy had always been fighting for me. Her love had turned into a curse only because she tried too hard to save us from poverty. Before the sun set, Mama Ejima came to me. She is free now, she said. The spirit has gone back to the river. You are safe. I looked at the sky and whispered, Thank you, Mama. A soft breeze brushed my face. For a moment I could smell pepper soup and soap, the scent of home. Years passed. I grew into a young woman and became a teacher in Sukha. Every time I saw a child smile at their mother, I smiled too, but with a small ache in my heart. People sometimes asked about my past. I only said, my mother was the kindest woman I ever knew. But kindness without wisdom can lead to pain. At night, I often dreamed of her voice, not the fearful one, but the gentle one that used to call me sunshine. In those dreams, she always said the same thing. Don't let my mistake become your shadow. Trust God before you trust the river. The story of my mother taught me that love can be strong, but without wisdom, it can destroy. Never seek help from darkness, even when the light seems far away. What we invite for quick comfort can later demand the very things we love most. Parents must know that the greatest gift to a child is not wealth, but peace. A mother's love should be pure, not desperate. Children should learn that even those we love can make mistakes. Forgive them but learn from their pain. There are two voices in every human, one of hope and one of fear. The one we feed becomes our master. True protection comes from truth. Lies and shortcuts may look beautiful, but they always have hidden prices. What is the cost of love that forgets to listen to God? How far should a parent go to protect their child before that protection becomes destruction? Can someone still be your enemy if everything they did wrong came from love? I still ask myself these questions. Sometimes when I walk past the mango tree and hear the wind whisper, I think I hear Mama's voice again. Soft, loving and free. She is no longer my enemy. She is my warning, my lesson, and my forever love. If you have not subscribed to my channel, you might not hear my voice again. But if you are, then you are growing every day. Check my page for more interesting stories. Thanks for watching.